Good evening. I'm Pedro Hazel Jr.
Hi, I'm Steve Ferguson.
Welcome to Sportslines Plus. Tonight we'll look at the Mets and Yankees in spring training and how each team looks as far as the teams go. Now let's get right away. Steve,
Okay.
how do you feel in the Mets' chances this season? What do you think the Mets have going into camp?
You know what? Everybody that I've talked to about the Mets doesn't feel great about them because of what we did last year where we acquired Scherzer, Verlander, Canna, Marte. 2 years ago we did this. And we won 101 games and we looked great. But come postseason, we lost in the first round to San Diego. Last year, we didn't even make the playoffs. I think the Mets are going to be right about in the middle, which means about 85, 86 wins. Pretty good team. Maybe not as good as the one we had 2 years ago, but a lot better than people think we are. And I think a lot of it for the New York Mets has to do with their health and the production of certain players. If Jeff McNeil can be the Jeff McNeil he was 2 years ago when he led the league in hitting, when Starling Marte was a huge factor in what the Mets did 2 years ago, and Pete Alonso had a great year 2 years ago, a lot of things like that. If everything comes into play, we can get a great year out of Kodai Senga. And by the way, we know he's hurt right now.
Yeah.
But Kodai Senga is now our ace, and he pitched like it last year after we got rid of both Scherzer and Verlander. But I think if a lot of things come together for the team, and Luis Severino, he could be a major factor in what the Mets do. People forget with the Yankees, he won 19 games twice. And he's capable. He still throws 97, 98 miles an hour. He's got the stuff to do it. Now he has to put his career back together.
Yeah, the only problem is the Mets pitching staff, you have a lot of pitchers on the injured list. You have to remember it's injured list now, not disabled list.
That's right.
Disabled list sounds so much better.
It does. But you know what? I think there are a couple of things here. David Stearns, who's now here to run the ball club, he came from Milwaukee. Milwaukee was an organization that never really spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they were successful because they had a great farm system. They had two ace pitchers, Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. I think he's trying to build the Mets in a similar way.
Right.
I don't know if it's going to work in New York, but I'd like to at least see this year what he can do.
I have a very good friend who pretty much is very, let's just say she is very, very cynical.
Understandable.
Very cynical of the Mets. You know, they're getting this, they got this, well, it's very, very, just, there's a whole deal. David Stearns, David Stearns, Milwaukee Brewers, small town, small market team. She's very, very, let's just see, she is very cynical of the Mets
too, because
chances.
I think we're New Yorkers. We're used to seeing our team get out, get the big splash, get the major stars like we did 2 years ago and compete that way. I want to see if by the middle of the season the Mets are contending, would he then say, let's go and get this player or this pitcher to help us get 5, 6, 7 more wins? But I think one thing that is going to help the Mets is Edwin Diaz is back.
Yes, that
was a huge loss for the New York Mets.
Man,
this guy, probably the best pitcher in the National League as a reliever. You can argue Josh Hader, but now he's with the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
He means everything to what the Mets do.
Yeah.
He looks great so far. He's feeling very good about his health. Confidence is great. If he's back to the Edwin Diaz we saw 2 years ago, then the Mets are going to win at least 10 more games, I believe.
Yeah, that
good. Would put them right about 84, 85 wins.
And like I said, Kodai Senga went down with arm fatigue.
Yeah, that happens to pitchers. It's a shame it happened this early in the year. But I guess if it's going to happen, it's better it happen now than, say, the middle of the season. Because he can rest. Maybe he'll be out for a couple of weeks. Let's hope no more than that. And he can still be the ace pitcher that he was last year.
I'm just hoping,
I do like Quintana. That's another pitcher we didn't have at the beginning of last year either. A left-hander, throws 92, 93, very smart pitcher, doesn't overpower people, but really uses his changeup and his curveball and slider really well. I like what the Mets have pitching-wise as far as the talent. The question is, can all these guys stay healthy?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the huge question.
That's the $1 million question. Severino, we know him from the Yankees. Great stuff. Hard slider, great fastball, changeup. I think with a little tweaking of his delivery, he can be as good as he was 2 years ago when he was really a dominant pitcher. I like the Mets taking their chance with him.
Speaking of the Yankees, what do you feel their chances are this season?
They have a better chance than the Mets, but I think they have question marks also. They have Garrett Cole, Cy Young Award winner, and I have to say now a great major league pitcher at age 33. But beyond that ace pitcher, Carlos Rodon, he had an awful year last year. He was hurt. He didn't pitch for half the season. He did not look at all like the Carlos Rodon we saw in San Francisco, won 14 games. Nestor Cortez, who was really good for the Yankees 2 years ago, is a question mark because of his health. Marcus Stroman, who they acquired as a free agent, probably can rise up to number 2 based on what this team is right now. But Marcus Stroman is a guy that social media has just taken over his life. To the point now, if you're the Yankees, you want to just tell him, shut up and pitch.
Yeah.
Because when he was with the Mets, that was one of the problems they had.
He always was making comments. And I mean, I can understand every so often, but, after a while, it gets a little tiring.
It does. And he's very capable of winning 10, 12, 13 games for the Yankees, maybe more because of the offense they're supposed to have.
Yeah.
But I think the Yankees have a lot of question marks. We don't know Juan Soto. Now, they got Juan Soto from San Diego. They gave up a lot for this guy. They gave up 3 pitchers. Michael King, who I think is about ready to emerge as a star major league pitcher, as a starter. 2 others, Randy Vasquez and Brito, they can probably be in the San Diego rotation this year. They gave up a lot for this guy. My question to the Yankees is, what are you getting? Is he going to be the great Juan Soto that he was with the Nationals? Because with the Padres, he was good, but not phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they need him to be phenomenal with Aaron Judge. Because if Aaron Judge gets hurt again, and it might happen, then they're going to be relying on Juan Soto to really come through for them. And they have question marks, too. You look at Volpe, good shortstop, good arm, defensively can run, but he hit 209 in his rookie year.
Yeah.
And they have older players. LeMahieu, he's 35, 36. You don't know what he has left as a player.
Right.
And then you have Gleyber Torres, who can definitely hit at second base, but is he going to improve as a fielder?
Yeah.
They have a lot of questions, almost like the Mets. And more, maybe a little more talent, but I can see the Yankees could either be a team that wins 95 games or wins 80 games, depending on their health.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of question marks. They don't even have a qualified closer. That's something the Mets do have. The Yankees have Clay Holmes, and they have a group of other guys who have talent, but they really don't have the shutdown closer. And I think that's going to hurt them in the long run, even though they're going to score a lot of runs.
Yeah. What do you feel now? We're going to go for other teams like the Texas Rangers, Dodgers. We'll go with the Rangers first. I know DeGrom will probably be. We'll see how DeGrom's going to end up. He's always injured.
From what I heard about DeGrom recently, you probably will see him maybe the early middle part of this season finally pitch for Texas. We know as Met fans, when we had DeGrom, when he's on the mound pitching for you, he is going to be really good.
Yeah, when he is healthy, yes.
That's the question, when he is healthy. And that's the big question for Texas. They spent $185 million for this guy for 5 years. They have already lost a year from him.
Yeah.
So he has to come back and prove to them that he is as good as he was then.
Yeah.
The other issue they have, they lost Jordan Montgomery, may not be coming back to them. And he was a star for them in the postseason. He really became as good as Nathan Eovaldi, their ace. So that can be a potentially big loss for them. They have a good rotation, but Scherzer is getting much older now. He's another one who has proven to start breaking down as well.
Well, so he's 41 years old.
Right, he's 40 years old. So you're looking at a team that has a 36-year-old, 37-year-old pitcher in Scherzer who gets injured a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Scherzer, who's about 40, will be 40, I believe, in July.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another question mark they have.
Mm-hmm.
Even Nathan Eovaldi, as good as he is, he's going to be 34 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a team that may have to start transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
They have a couple of guys. They have a guy named Maley they got from the Reds. He's talented but injured a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He won't be available until the middle of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Dane Dunning, they got him from the White Sox. Good control pitcher. He might be better as a starter, but the question with him is, can he step up now?
Mm-hmm.
Because these other starters are older,
mm-hmm.
and they may need a guy like Dane Dunning who's 26, 27 to really start elevating as a pitcher.
Yeah.
Their offense is unbelievable, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, Corey Seager, Simeon,
mm-hmm.
and the right fielder they have, those three guys are
mm-hmm.
incredible
mm-hmm.
offensive talents.
Yeah.
They have a good bullpen. They acquired David Robertson, who I wish the Mets had gotten.
Yeah.
Kirby Yates, who they got from Atlanta, who was their closer. They really have a very good rotation and bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll repeat. I think they can, but I think they're going to get competition again from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Houston acquired Josh Hader, and
mm-hmm.
some people say he's the best closer in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They paid a lot of money for Josh Hader, 5
mm-hmm.
years, $95 million for a closer.
Mm-hmm.
That's $19 million a year.
Ugh.
This guy has to pitch well for Houston to make this work.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how about the Dodgers' chances? Now they have the two best pitchers, Japanese pitchers.
You know what? The Dodgers are like a team that you dream of. Like you go to sleep and you dream of a team that has everything.
Ohtani, Yamamoto.
Yep.
I mean,
and Glasnow they got from Tampa Bay. Like that team is so rich in talent. But the question I have is, can they really produce like the talent they are?
Yeah.
Because here's why I say that. When you look at teams that win the championship or at least get there, they're not all 100-win teams.
Yeah.
Look at Arizona, the Diamondbacks. They won 84 games last year, and they crept up on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They beat up the Dodgers, and I have to say beat up. They bombed Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs,
mm-hmm.
and they got past the Phillies, who had gotten past Atlanta. So I really don't know how this works now. I think you're almost better being kind of where the Mets are, where you kind of work your way in.
Right.
And once you get there, anything's possible.
In other words, hot at the moment.
Yeah. The Dodgers have all the talent. Mookie Betts and Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Will Smith. That lineup is very good. The pitching's a little suspect because we don't really know what Yamamoto is going to do in America yet.
Yeah.
We don't know. Ohtani can't pitch this year, so all he's going to do is hit this year. And Glasnow is very talented, but he's another question mark. He has never pitched more than 120 innings. They're going to ask him to do it this year.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
and
150.
More. Yeah.
So, and they don't have a great closer either. So, their team is very good. Don't get me wrong. I think they can walk away with that division. But if they don't all come together the way we think they will, that division will be up for grabs.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the Diamondbacks will have a lot to say about that division.
And what about the Braves?
Wow.
We talked about the Braves. I mean, they won like 105 games?
105 games. They're similar to what the Mets were 2 years ago. Like they have everything to win.
Mm-hmm.
They have, first of all, they got Chris Sale, who I've always liked him. Left-handed, 34 years old, still throws 95 miles an hour, 96, with the funkiest left-handed delivery you'll ever see. That guy can pitch. Charlie Morton is amazing. He's 40 years old. He's still getting people out. Then they have Spencer Strider, who's one of the hardest throwers I've seen in years in their rotation. Very talented team. They have Acuna. They have the third baseman Riley. They have so much talent. They have two good catchers in Darno and Sean Murphy. They have everything to win, pretty much at this stage. But once again, I don't know if talent necessarily gets you everything.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes it's a team like the Phillies who may not have quite as much talent, but have that real dig in attitude. And they come after you and they play them hard. They can beat the Atlanta Braves, and Atlanta knows that. That's the scary part. As good as Atlanta is, the Phillies are not afraid of them at all.
That's right. Yeah.
They can play them and play them tough. So, I mean, you would think Atlanta could win, but when has Atlanta won the championship?
Yeah, well, they did win in 2020.
2020. But that's when they had Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Now they have Matt Olson. And Matt Olson has had a phenomenal year last year.
Right.
Had well over 40 home runs, played the position well, wound up hitting 275, 280, which was really good because he got off to a very slow start offensively. But there's something you have to have more than talent. I think it's a combination of talent and luck and karma. A lot of stuff has to go your way.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So I don't know if they can do it. I think talent-wise, it's either them or the Phillies in the division, but the New York Mets may have something to say about it if they play well.
What do you think, going back to the American League, what do you think of the Orioles? They had that incredible season last year.
I like the Orioles a lot. I think that's kind of the way I would want to build my team.
Yeah.
What they did is what the Mets are trying to do now. They're building up the farm system. They have incredible young, talented players. They really do. And you could start with the pitcher, Grayson Rodriguez, who will probably be an ace down the line. They've got Jackson Holliday, who, by the way, is Matt Holliday's son. He's supposed to be the best prospect of all of them. He's coming up this year. And we can't say enough about Ashley Rutschman. He is a terrific catcher, offensively and defensively, probably the best catcher in the American League.
Yeah.
They're a very talented team, but what they needed to do, they finally got an ace in that rotation. Corbin Burns. That's a pitcher. Everybody has been waiting to see him at a good team, and now he's with a really good team. I think he's going to be the difference for that Oriole team. He is a lockdown. He's about as good as any pitcher in baseball. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does against the Yankees and other teams in that American League that can hit because he's a terrific pitcher.
Good. Yeah. So that's, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Orioles do.
I mean, the Yankees some people think the Yankees are going to win the division and others think the Orioles. Now, I'm not a Yankee fan, and I will tell you that straight up. But the Orioles have such a good lineup, and that pitching staff looks like it's about ready to take off.
Yeah.
Because now they have what they've been needing for years is a lockdown ace. The way that the Yankees have Garrett Cole, they have Corbin Burns.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to talk about something that we've been kind of like cursing through our breaths for the last week.
Okay.
The NBA All-Star Game.
Oh.
NBA All-Star Game was a total disaster Sunday night. The final score was 211 to 86.
I have never seen
one of the most embarrassing games ever.
Yep.
I mean, I had a very difficult time even looking at the game. A total turn off.
I'll tell you what, I only saw bits and pieces of that game because it was so bad. The best part of the All-Star weekend, in my opinion, was the three-point shooting and the dunk contest.
Definitely.
But even the dunk contest was terrible because we haven't seen anybody like Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, guys who can really lead. No offense to the guy who won, but he's a G League player. He's not even supposed to be there. So they got to change that altogether. They have to get some players who really know how to dunk and can excite the fans. But getting to that game, what an awful atrocity of a game that was. I mean, they had legendary people sitting there like Larry Bird and Oscar Robertson, and they must have been humiliated watching that game. And there's been talk that they might not even play that game next year. They may eliminate it. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
I have never seen a sport where nobody played a lick of defense. Even LeBron James didn't play defense.
I mean, I can understand. You don't want to get hurt. That's fine. But that's ridiculous still.
It was the worst I've ever seen. I think you and I could have gone to court and played better defense than some of those guys.
Yeah.
They were terrible. Everybody's concern in that game is the three-point shot and the slam dunks. Nobody plays any defense whatsoever. And I've said to you that of all the four sports, baseball has the best all-star game.
Oh, yeah.
It still does. You can argue that the American National League are more delineated than they used to be because we play them a lot more.
The meeting it doesn't have as much meaning as before.
Right. And also the starting pitchers don't pitch as long.
Yeah.
I mean, we're used to seeing, we go back to the 70s where you would have Seaver or Nolan Ryan pitch 4 or 5 really good innings.
Yeah.
And then you bring in these top-notch pitchers behind them. All right, it's changed from that. But you can't argue with the fact that these guys who throw 95 still do it when they're in the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I love about baseball. You can't change what it is.
No, you can't.
And I remember Matt Harvey.
Oh, yeah.
When he pitched in front of the shade, that crowd at Citi Field years ago, we saw the real Matt Harvey.
Yes.
The one who throws 96, 97, 99. That's what baseball does. Basketball needs to start with defense, and they need to find people who can play it. I think the commissioner can do us a favor by saying to these players, listen, you don't play defense and rebound and pass the ball, you're not playing in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
The fans might vote you in, but I'll have control over who plays in that game. I think that would be a great idea to let him control this.
Yeah.
Because the fans, clearly a lot of them are of the new school where it's just shoot the ball and slam dunk. That's not basketball.
That is not basketball. I agree. Totally agree.
I think what a lot of these younger people need to watch is they need to see basketball the real way, the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s style.
Oh, yeah.
When the Knicks used to play the Bulls, and when, years ago when the Knicks won the championships, every team
50 years ago, yeah.
Even bad teams played defense in those days.
Yeah.
They hand check. I'd love to see the hand check come back in the league.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see double teams. I would really like to see, I'll be honest with you, they need maybe even zone defenses would be good to put in the league.
Yeah.
Because nobody plays defense anymore in those games.
Yeah.
It's
just
awful.
Atrocity.
These guys work so hard to get their names in there for the All-Star game, and then they're playing basically carnival basketball.
Yeah.
And that's awful. It's a disgrace to the fans like you and I.
Tell me about it. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. Make your comments here on YouTube and also subscribe if you like our service, if you like our show. Anyway, for Steve Ferguson, this is Pedro Hazel Jr. saying thanks for joining us and see you next time on Sportslines Plus.
Let's go Mets.
All right. Take care.
Wow, what did you think?